Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's bird video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days. For today's bird video, day 10 will take us to the 26th of February, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the excellent GFS and ECM ensembles made on around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFS V2 for March at the end of the video, and I shall get on that for you in a moment. Just say that first. The video release today was our 6th UK weather forecast, and we've also released Jam Friday as well. Please check out those two videos if you'd like to do that. Like, share, and subscribe on all of today's videos and content. And thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. We need to put on around 18 subscribers to get ourselves to 18k, so 18 subscribers for 18,000, 18 subs for 18,000 subscribers. And you could give us a sub and tell your friends and family to subscribe. That would be incredible. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that for GavsWeatherVids. We are so close now to our next 1,000. And when we get to 18k, I've actually got an announcement of what's going to happen when we get to 20k. So let's try and get to 18,000 subscribers. Thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. Let's start off in the stratosphere. So this is from the JMA, Japanese Meteorological Agency, showing the stratospheric temperature at 10 HPA over the Arctic and the North Pole through the season and where we currently are. So the black line is just there. We are seeing a further significant warming of the stratosphere at 10 HPA over the North Pole. We are above average, above the grey line, which of course is a trend for this time of year. So we should be around minus 55, something like that. We're currently around minus 35. So we're about 30 degrees above average. And further warming is still to come, so we may well get up to that level in the next few days. Perhaps we shall keep monitoring that. If you go a little bit lower down to 30 HPA, warming is taking place there as well. So now we're very close to minus 50. We're above average, should be around minus 67, something like that at this point in the year. So stratospheric warming is currently taking place. Not yet a sudden stratospheric warming. We shall see if we reach that kind of level. This is how the latest GFS is looking in terms of the temperature forecast for 10 HPA over the North Pole. So these yellow colours have moved out of Russian Siberia into the Arctic, displacing the blue colours. These are this is the cold temperature, the polar vortex at its roots in the stratosphere. Now, as we run through the next few days, we're going to find further displacement continuing and a renewed warming gathering pace there around the 20th of February over Siberia. And again, starting to push in towards the North Pole. This could be the one that sends the solar wind into reverse in about 6 or 7 days' time. So, displacement event continues with these blue colours being pulled and stretched to their absolute limits by the time we get through to around the 24th of February. Another warming begins to happen there over parts of Europe as well. And this GFS run does actually split the PV. There we go. On the 25th of February, we see the blue colours being pulled apart and splitting into two lobes of blue, one going off into Europe, one going off into America. So that is a technical split of the polar vortex that we've got there. Doesn't last very long. Very quickly, the PV start to come back together again, albeit weakened and displaced. So we finish up with yet another warming of the stratosphere there by the 3rd of March. Another warming to take place over Russia. So this is a very strange season with the continuous warming events. But you'll notice on the 3rd of March, we've still got PV in business there. So despite being displaced, probably reversing the solar wind very briefly, and even splitting the polar vortex, it is still in business there on the 3rd of March. The indestructible PV of 2023-24 continues. Very interesting and unusual season this. This is from Weather is Cool. This is showing the solar wind, currently where we are with the solar wind at 10 HPA in the stratosphere and the GFS forecast. So solar wind is weakening with this warming. We are now weaker than average, quite significantly so, with the solar wind. Remember, to get a reversal of solar winds, and to be able to say that we've got a technical SSW, you have to go down to this zero line just here. So we haven't yet got a technical major southern stratospheric warming event. If we put in the GFS mode, you can see that very similar to what happened in January. We are expecting the zonal wind to go into reverse, but only briefly, probably only for 24 hours. And again, very much in line with what happened in January. And then the zonal wind starts picking back up again. Maybe a hint that it could start weakening and perhaps reversing again as we get into early March, but that is a long way off, of course. I can tell you about 100% of GFS members, so all GFS Ensemble members are going for a reversal of zonal wind, therefore another technical major sun stratospheric warming event. The issue is that it's only going to last a few hours, then it will go positive again. So, as I say, very, very strange and unusual season this. I'm not sure I've ever had, certainly not in, the internet era, I'm not sure I've ever had a season quite like this with continuous sort of disruption of the polar vortex, continuous warming, but never quite able to get to what I would classify as like a proper major southern stratospheric warming event, which would be an event that sends a zonal wind into reverse for several days and splits the PV for several days, and really obliterates PV. So really odd season. We'll keep you updated. We'll keep you posted about all of the developments. Now, yesterday was our warmest February day on record, I believe. Shryan tell me that yesterday was the warmest February day on record. I'm not surprised. It's very, very balmy, wasn't it? And this has lifted perception temperature up to 8.1, which is 4.3 degrees above the 61 to 1990 average. That is provisional to yesterday, the 15th of February. If we stay there until month's end, we probably won't, but if we did, then that would be a new February CET record. We would beat the old record, which I think we said, we did CET Saturday a couple of weeks ago, and I think we said the CET record was 1779. Maybe I should check that before I started the video, should I? I think the warmest February CET record is 1779 at 7.9. So we will beat that. We will beat that, and that will be the first time we've ever been in the 8s for the CET in February. Can we maintain that? It might be difficult because I think the last few days of months might have a bit of a cool down, and we see this on the GFS Ensemble. So this is how the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles are looking for the next couple of weeks. Red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Edinburgh. Now we're starting off above average for at least the next few days. So like the next week really is going to continue to be very, very mild. Probably not quite as warm as it was yesterday, but nevertheless still significantly above average. But around the 22nd, 23rd of February, that's when we get a cool down. Whilst not going particularly cold, it does look as though we are returning much closer to average. And average temperatures, because the CET is so high, will probably bring the overall CET down a little bit. I think we will have a 7 Celsius finish though, and it could easily be like the warmest February since 1779. I would not be at all surprised if that happened. But we may struggle, to beat 1779. But nevertheless, it looks like we're in for some very mild weather over next week. Then we get a bit of a cool down, although it doesn't look overly cold. And lots of precipitation. Again, we talked about this yesterday. The deluge is on the way back. Did it ever really go away? Loads and loads of precipitation spikes there for Edinburgh from beginning to end. If we have a look at snow rows, so what are we doing here? Hang on. Hold on. So this should be ECM Ensemble, actually. I'm trying to be ECM Ensemble there somehow. Well, that's relevant too. Let's go to the GFS Ensemble and have a look at that one. I'm not sure how that happened. And it's the same sort of idea, really, as what we just saw with the ECM Ensemble. Okay, so, we start on significantly above average for the next few days. Then we get a cool down close to average, not especially cold. Not very precipitation spikes, perhaps, with the GFS Ensembles for Edinburgh, but still looking pretty unsettled. And now we can look at snow row. And there is a risk of a little bit of snow there showing up between around the 22nd and the 25th of February. In that window there might be some snow falling for Edinburgh, and perhaps towards month's end as well. Before then, of course, it's far too mild for any possibility of snow. Right, temperature anomalies from the 16th, 24th of February, they're coming out above average. Precipitation anomalies from 16th, 24th of February, average to wetter than normal in most places. Both the far east of Scotland and north east of England is a little bit drier. Latest Windflow Map from earthnorthschool.net shows we're between areas of low pressure today. We've got one low clearing away into Denmark, and we've got more low pressure waiting in the wings in the Atlantic for the coming few days. We find ourselves under a little transient bump of high pressure today, but that will soon be on its way out. Right, let's start going through chart data then. And this is our latest UK Met Euro run, looking for midnight on Monday. High pressure starting to ridge up from the southwest, bringing quite a bit of dry weather through the beginning part of next week, which comes from the weather outlook, of course. Then we find that high pressure starts to get broken down, turns increasingly unsettled. We talked about this in yesterday's video, increasingly unsettled through the middle part of next week, with low pressure deepening in the Atlantic, so turning both cooler as the jet stream moves south. Remember, on these charts, the black line is the rough position of the jet stream. So the jet stream moves southwards and low pressure starts to dig in, I should say, from the North Atlantic. So turning increasingly unsettled and cooler as we go through the middle and second half of next week with the UK Met Euro run. Icon, again, showing that ridge of high pressure gradually breaking down through the early part of next week, increasingly unsettled through the middle part of the week, wet and winding around Wednesday, and then a very deep area of low pressure potentially bringing us our next named storm as we move through into, will that be Storm Kathleen? I think it might be Storm Kathleen. I don't know, but we might turn, someone will know in the comments, I'm sure, we might turn wet, windy, maybe storming, if Icon is right, through the through the last part of next week, and cooler as well, again going on to the cool side of the jet stream. Not cold, yes, coming off Greenland, long Atlantic trek will modify it, but probably cold enough for showers to turn to snow in northern regions. The KMA, again, is looking like this. So once more that high pressure breaks down through next week, it goes flat as a pancake. Stormy there, goodness gracious me, that's 23rd of February. I think that's this day next week, next Friday. That looks really stormy, doesn't it, for England and Wales? Goodness gracious. That pushes through, bringing a proper old battering. And then we're into like colder, showery conditions, really, as we head on into the end of the KMA run. That's how it finished up. Certainly starting to turn colder then by the end of that, 28th February. So by the end of February, start to shift the high pressure over into the continent, ridge developing in the Atlantic. That will bring in a colder sort of northerly flow. GFS midnight run, again, breaking down the high pressure through the early part of next week, increasingly unsettled with deep low pressure pushing in from off the Atlantic. Lots of rain to come. Not overly stormy with the GFS midnight run. Nowhere near as stormy as the KMA, for example. But nevertheless, still very unsettled. Deep areas of low pressure. Gradually, with time tracking further and further southwards as well. So starting to turn colder with the GFS midnight run. Again, got -5 Celsius iceberg through the country there. So we end February on quite a cold note. Again, that might just prevent us from having the warmest February CT on record. Right at the very end, into the beginning of March, next area, low pressure coming back in from the Atlantic. So off we go again into yet more wet weather when we get through to the opening days of March. Goodness gracious me, will it ever end? I don't know. The GFS 6Z again is breaking down that high pressure through the middle part of next week, increasingly unsettled through to the last stages of next week, both cooler but also wetter as well. Deep area low pressure plunging south into the Bay of Biscay there by the time we get through day 10, start to pull wind round to an easterly, not particularly cold easterly, I have to say, and into a bit of Scandinavian high getting going as well. So in the extended range, the GFS 6A turns increasingly blocked, with northern blocking reappearing around Greenland, Iceland, wind going back into the east. But the issue we've got here is that it's not particularly cold easterly. Nevertheless, it would be colder, though, than we've been used to. So a colder start to March there with GFS 6A, courtesy of that blocking around Greenland and Iceland. We'll see. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. And show everyone for dear Matt. Why not drop a comment? Let's say about this and all of our vids. Don't forget to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. Thanks so much, everyone, for doing that. 18 subscribers gets us to 18,000 subscribers. So 18 subs, about 18,000. If you could give us a sub and tell your friends and fans to subscribe, that'd be absolutely incredible. Thanks so much for doing that. We are so close to 18k. We might need one last cold snap or one last snow watch or something. I don't know, but if we could get to 18k before the end of this week, that would be so epic. Thank you so much. Okay, GM again breaks down the high pressure as we go through the early to middle part of next week, increasingly unsettled with bouts of rain coming in from off the Atlantic with these areas of low pressure. And we get to the end of a GM, actually again sending that low pressure down to the Bay of Biscay, building a ridge in the Atlantic and pulling in the wind from a colder northeasterly direction. So the GM is also turning things a little bit colder by the time we get through to the end of February. Not particularly cold northeasterly, but would be notable considering how extraordinarily mild it's been. And even if we don't see much snow, we will probably see a return of overnight frost with that. And then the ECM looks like this. Again, we've got high pressure breaking down through the course of Monday, with low pressure in the Atlantic deepening. That's a scenario for the second half of next week, increasingly unsettled with these areas of low pressure, bringing bouts of wind and rain in from off the Atlantic. Very wet and windy over the weekend, 24th, 25th of February, of that particular area of low pressure. And by day 10, the low pressure is moving out into the North Sea. So it's done a little bit cooler as well with the ECM, although far less of a ridge in the North Atlantic compared to some of the other model output that we've seen. And this next low just here almost certainly will get wind back into a mild westerly very quickly, but very unsettled anyway from the ECM. This is a precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from temp.com. We have got a window of drier weather through the rest of today and much of tomorrow, but by the end of tomorrow, further wet and windy weather is coming back into west. So this wind and rain sweeps across the country as we go through Saturday night and on in Sunday. It's taking quite a long time to clear from England and Wales on Sunday as well. Eventually turning a little bit drier through the last part of Sunday into Monday. Further showering conditions coming in from off the Atlantic through the early part of next week. And then, around middle of next week, we start to deepen the lows in the Atlantic. And we go back into these wet and windy conditions once again. And in between the bouts of rain, there will be some snow mixed in as the, as the air starts turning cold, particularly in the northern half of the country. So not only rain, we might start getting a little bit of snow turning up for the north as well through the second half of next week. Yet another bout of wind and rain sweeping across the country over the weekend to the 24th and 25th of February. That looks ominous too. And that's how we finish up with the ECM by day 10 into showery northwesterly winds. These are the options on the table within the ECM Ensembles today for day 10 from the Icelandic Met Office. Hold on, let me just lift this up a little bit. Which gets us to the 26th of February. Right, so 13 members of the ECM Ensembles with deep low pressure over top of the country. That could be very unsettled. Another 13 with deep low pressure over top of the country and slightly to our east. That's trying to bring in something a bit colder from the north. There is a mid-Atlantic ridge involved with both of those options as well, by the way. We've got 11 including control on the operation run, still with deep low pressure going slightly to the east of the country, a bit of a ridge out in the Atlantic. We've got 6 with low pressure, deep low pressure over to the east of the country. 4, very different, with a ridge from the Azores going to Scandinavia. That might be putting in a little bit of an easterly down in the south. That's a much drier option, of course. Very much a minority option, though. And then another form with low pressure, more or less over country, slightly to our east, and ridge out to the southwest, and that's going to be rather shallow winds in from the northwest. Most of the options there, except for the 4 here, very, very small minority. Most of the options looking really unsettled there at day 10. And then in 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. It gets us to the 2nd of March, 19 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure to the north, and that's bringing the wind off the Atlantic, continues the unsettled weather. 18 with deep low pressure over top of the country, that keeps the unsettled weather going too. And then 14, perhaps a little bit more in line with the GFS 6 operation run, high pressure over Scandinavia, and wind potentially coming in from more of an easterly direction. So that will start to bring something a bit drier and possibly a bit colder in from the east. Remember, spring is our most easterly season, so the further on we go into it, the more likely it is that we start seeing easterly winds turning up and Scandinavian highs and all of that. The only thing, though, is that, of course, the further on we go through the spring, we lose the cold air, generally, to our east. So, you know, we will get easterly winds this spring. We always do. Like May is the most easterly of the months of the year. But of course, by then, the easterlies are actually bringing quite warm air from the east. So, you know, don't be surprised if easterlies turn up in the next few weeks, but we won't probably have any cold air to bring in with them. But it's still early, so we can still get cold air from the east in March, and sometimes even into April. Right, okay, so finally CFS V2 for March. This is the latest 700 millibar height anomaly for March. Remember, these do change daily. Latest idea is to have blocking to the north, low pressure is to the south, and winds will be coming in, therefore, talking about easterlies, winds will be coming in from an easterly direction then. And so the temperature anomaly in March is no better than average or has no signal. And the precipitation anomaly just looks a little bit on the drier side away to the northwest, a little bit on the west side down to our south. We shall see about that. The CFS, along, however, with all of the other sort of extended and long-range output, has been pretty appalling through this winter. I think the CFS might actually have been one of the better, you know, models compared to like the ECM. The ECM has been really bad, I have to say. The ECM 46 day has had a really, really, really bad winter. Normally we rate the ECM as quite a good model, but the 46-day version of the ECM has been absolutely atrocious through this winter, and the JMA hasn't been much better. The CFS, you know, I'm not sure the CFS has been as bad as the EC 46-day, to be honest, and we do criticise the CFS quite a lot, but none of the sort of extended and medium and extended range and long range models have been up to much, really, through this winter. So I would stay cautious on that prediction from the CFS for March. We shall wait and see. Okay, we're done. If you enjoyed the video, please can you like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much everyone for doing that. Why not drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our bids and content. And don't forget to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. So everyone for doing that. 18 subs for 18k. Please give us a sub. Thank you so much everyone for doing that. Right, we're going to be live at 6, not 6 p.m, what I'm talking about, live at 10:30 with the pub run. It'd be a long live stream, wouldn't it? If I started at 6 with the pub run, it won't finish updated till about 11 tonight. So that would be a long stream, wouldn't it? No, we're going to be live at half 10 with a pub run. And I just said to coming up on the channel tomorrow, going to have a 6 AM UK weather forecast. Ton of the EC 46 day, we'll have that turning up as well, along with the weekend forecast and a 10 to 14 day. And then on Sunday, again, we've got 6 AM UK weather forecast. And we've got the final spring update as well. I think that's update number 6, maybe, for spring. And that's going to be an ENSO special. That's going to be an El Nino 2 ENSO neutral special. So what a spring's like after El Nino, when we're reverting back to And so neutral, we'll have a look at all of that in our final spring update. And then hopefully we'll be able to be live at 6 p.m. on Sunday. I've had to cancel live streams for a couple of weeks. So we are due a Sunday stream. Hopefully we'll be able to get that done for you this weekend at 6 p.m. on Sunday. Right, so I might see you a little bit later on for the pub run, or maybe for content over the weekend. But you enjoy the rest of your Friday afternoon / evening. And for this video, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.